So our special guest today is Dan Shrader. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Dan, and how you got started writing horror.
I am from Indiana. I've been writing since I was a kid, like this maybe fourth grade. Just been, always writing. It was like a thing that it like helped me, stay together, level-headed, and kind of got serious about it. The last couple of years, I was got real serious about it and started putting my stuff out last year. I forget, it's 2024.
Fantastic. So what drew you to the horror genre specifically?
I would say it was probably my grandparents they used to, when the VHS came out, my grandma just recorded everything, and I think she worked in a video store or something, because there was boxes and boxes of it. And when I was 12, I'd found them, and I was like, "Hey, what are these?" And she was like, "Oh, it's all this stuff," and she said I could just take them. So I started watching them, and probably watch stuff I shouldn't have, but like Night of the Demons and Chud and Black Christmas, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and just fell in love with all that stuff. And it just resonated to me, the old 80s B movies and late 70s, just all that teenage stuff that happens in it, and I've been a fan ever since.
Brilliant. So walk us through your process. How do you get an idea and then turn that into a story?
Well, usually they come to me in different ways. I could be driving down the road and I'll see something, and then I'll be like, "Oh, now I know how I'm going to start this story." I worked around in the mental health field a long time throughout my 20s, and that kind of inspired me a lot. I worked in a psychiatric unit, and my upbringing, stuff of how growing up, and just kind of learned from all that where I kind of wanted to go with my writing. I like the psychological and the horror and all that. But a lot of times I just get a little idea, I start writing, and then it just becomes what it is. I let my imagination takes over, my characters take over. And a lot of times, 9 times out of 10, I didn't have a say in the ending. It just happened.
Yeah. So how do you normally create your characters?
Not very planned out like a lot of people, I guess. I know some people are pantsers or stuff like that. They'll write down the backstory for every character. I kind of just get this character in my mind and then a few things about them that are, if they walk with a limp, stuff like that, and kind of reveal as I go. I don't really straight out, here's this character, here's how old they are, what they're wearing, and describe everything right there. It's kind of, it comes out as you read. But it depends. I write a lot of short stories too, so sometimes a lot of that's just based on the character's reaction to things. So
yeah. So are you a pantser or a plotter?
I guess a pantser. Yeah, because I don't think I really plot much. Like I said, I just have these ideas, then I start writing, and then everything turns out to something I never originally planned.
And what does your wife think about your writing?
She loves it. Her and I were friends for like a long time before we even got serious and got married. And when we met, she knew that I wrote. And then how I started taking it really serious the last couple of years. She enjoys it a lot because I got sober back in September of 21, and I was struggling a lot with alcohol addiction. It was bad, and I checked myself into treatment, and I wasn't writing for the longest time when I was really big into drinking. That's all I did was just drink and binge drink and blackout. And just once I got sober, I just started writing again immediately. I like documented every day of my sobriety for the first year, and then started tackling all these notes that I've had, because even though for like 10 years I didn't write, I was writing notes, ideas. That's all I could really, my mind was kind of locked into a place whenever I was drinking a lot. And now it's just, I can't keep up with it.
You find it like sort of a therapy?
Oh yeah, it's definitely, and I think that's why I started it when I was a kid. Like, I had a lot of stuff I was dealing with. Nothing like I had, like I didn't have a terrible childhood. Just as a kid, certain things seem so big. Parents divorcing and stuff like that. And, in a way that was like how I coped, and then found those movies, and then everything I wrote was pretty much regurgitated from what I saw on film. I still have like boxes of stuff, and and it kind of grew from there. And then now, me being sober and writing what I write now, I'm in a good place, like with everything.
Do you ever find that there's a particular theme or a message that you put in your work, even subconsciously or on purpose?
Yeah, especially when I got sober. A lot of my short stories, especially my collection's coming out next month. February 7th, Those Who Live in Darkness, Volume 1 has like 3 short stories in it that the characters are heavy drinkers. And it talks about their dependency upon it and how it affects them. I have even, my novel that's coming out with Unveiling Nightmares, right?
Yeah.
There's a Soulless Lonesome that comes out February 29th. There's characters in that drink, and I write a lot about cults, the secret societies, and I kind of get into the cosmos a bit, but slashers, just all the great things of horror. I just try and nibble at bits of it, and
fantastic. Okay, so do you ever put any of your own personal experiences in them, or base characters off your own personal experiences?
Oh yeah, well, like I mentioned before, the drinking stuff, and I think a lot of times it's easier to do that, to put like say, rejection and heartbreak and like just the loss of a family member and stuff like that. Like, your characters, you want to make them believable, and sometimes you just put bits and pieces of your own life into every single one of them. So it makes it like, wow, like you got to have them relatable to the reader in some way, and they have to, it's kind of necessary in a way, because I feel like, you write what you know, as they say. So I know more about certain things and other people, than some people will know about things that, living a life totally different from mine. Yeah. And they and I can't look at, like, that's the thing. I'll read some books and some authors, and I'm like, man, that is like really good. Like, that character spot on. Like, I can see that, but I'm like, I couldn't write a character like that, like as good as that, because I have no clue of what it's like,
Yeah. Do you base them on people that you know?
Oh yeah, totally. Oh, my short story, Bedside Manor. It's got my brother-in-law. His name Joseph Tyler. Goes by Joseph Tyler, but goes by Tyler for unknown reasons. And then his girlfriend Bailey used their names in it. I used a lot of people's names and sometimes their likeness as a joke. Sometimes the big running thing now is with people I work with. It's like, oh yeah, Dan's gonna put me in a book and kill me.
Okay, so what do you think inspired your plots in the books that you're writing? Because I know you've created a whole universe, haven't you? So what's the idea behind that universe?
Oh, probably like Stephen King's Derry, Maine, or Castle Rock. I always like the fact of having things connected, like his fantasy. They do it a lot in fantasy and stuff. Like George R.R. Martin's stuff, all connected, different books. He's got his own layout, so I just thought of Towers Valley and the Robin Hood Hills and Barnett's Bluff, and started off with just mentioning it in one story. And then I was like, well, what if there's a witch that lives there? And then she ties into this story, and then there's no real laid ground yet, of how big it is or exactly the timelines, because a lot of my stories I think there's only one right now that I have an actual timeline, and that's Soulless Lonesome, the novel. It takes place in 1984 on a leap year, and other than that, a lot of the stories don't give a definite time. But I do tend to write about things in the early 90s, 80s, all in the 80s. There's no cell phones in any of my stories so far that I've written. I just feel like those were better times, simpler times. You can't get on the phone and call 911.
So what's been the hardest part of writing a book for the horror genre for you?
The hardest part? I'm not sure yet, because I'm so new into it. Like I said, I don't have any books out technically yet, except for an anthology I was a part of in December with you guys. Got some anthologies I'm a part of that are coming out this year as well, along with 3 of my books that I mentioned. But I guess I don't have enough experience yet to maybe realize what the hardest part is, or what, because I don't have them out there yet. I feel like I'm very lucky because, I reached out, emailed Christopher Triana last year and was like, hey, I'm really wanting to get into this, and he was nice enough to email me back and gave me pointers, and then I put my stuff online under a fake name, pseudonym Sutter Kane, and some people noticed it. I got an invite to Blue Sky by Brian Keene, met a bunch of people. That's where I met Matt Wilderson and Candace Nola, who helped me out with my collection, and through them, I guess I met you, and seeing you around, and I've been pretty lucky, to have met a lot of great people in a quick amount of time, and have, skipped through the long, grueling process of some people that just put in submission after submission and get rejections and rejections. Because I can hear, from what I've heard, it can be pretty daunting to deal with that all the time and not know how to get in there and get it's hard to get a foot in,
Yeah,
even if it's in indie horror. But I love the underground type style of stuff. So
yeah, the indie world is an underground, isn't it? Really, especially horror.
Oh yeah, you got a dedicated fan base. You got dedicated. People. The bleed this stuff. They breathe it too, just it's day in and day out, like every waking moment. It's like there's some killer authors that, they're just putting out books constantly, and they're all really good, like Chisto Healy, Judith Sonnet, and like just really great authors. There's so many great authors and so many good people I've met so far.
So what's been the hardest scene that you've had to write?
The hardest scene that I've had to write. Now I would say probably My Seventh Death. It's a novella that's in my collection. There is an incestuous cult family, and it kind of comes out later on, the daughter, the dad's the leader of it, and he's very, you get the idea. It's there's mentions of it, nothing actually happening. But now, I just became a father last August of a little girl. And even watching TV and stuff, mentioned my wife likes to watch SVU and stuff, Law and Order, and then they have episodes like that. So just anything of father daughters, writing about it. Used to, it didn't bother me as bad, because I just wrote about everything, and I was so desensitized to it. But now that I have a little girl, it's I don't know. I guess that's the hardest. But I don't write I don't really write a lot of rape scenes and stuff like that. That would probably be hard. I try and go a different route because I feel like it's used a lot. Not knocking on it or anything. Not knocking on anything that's, sometimes I just feel like it's used a lot, and try and go a little bit different route.
Yeah, I think your priorities change, don't they, when you become a parent? And you start to see things a little bit different. Your mindset kind of changes.
Oh yeah, she's definitely made me soft. She's my everything. I see the world totally different now, and it makes my sobriety even much more important. And because this whole writing thing kind of picked up too, right around when she was born. So it's I got two awesome things in my life going on at once, but she's always number one, and it's pretty amazing. I just want her to be happy. One day be proud of dad. Dad put out books, because ever since I was a kid, I've just always wanted to have books out. It was my number one thing as a kid.
So I know you said your books aren't out at the moment, but have you had any memorable feedback at the minute?
Yeah. I have gotten some really great reviews, but before that, I probably Candace Nola, when she edited my collection, Those Who Live in Darkness. And then we FaceTimed or whatever afterwards to talk about it, and she had all the edits sent to me, and to hear her compliment my writing and said that, you got stuff that's good and it's there, really meant a whole lot to me. Before, whenever I was Sutter Kane on Royal Road, it wasn't a very big horror site. Got a lot of good feedback, a lot of funny stuff, comparisons. A lot of people said Creep Show, Wall Street. So one of my stories was Wall Street meets Satanic, if it had Satanic Panic. But lately, I got a lot of people reviewing my collection, and they're going to be reviewing the novel. And I've gotten a lot of good feedback, a lot of great things being said about my writing and my stories. And I can't it's kind of surreal. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it because I've always been my hardest critic, and I probably always will be. And I feel like a lot of writers out there are like that. I know you felt like that, with your stuff.
Yeah.
Because you got a killer book that's going to be coming out soon.
I think most authors are the hardest critics of their own work. I think that's something that we all have in common, that we all do.
I feel like too, like in horror, whether we put it in the category of extreme or splatterpunk or the cosmos or all the other little subgenres with it, but horror in general, I feel like it's, when you write it, you kind of have to critique yourself a little more, I guess, just because of, like, am I going too far with this or whatever? I mean, even though you're like, fuck yeah, like, this is perfect, I love it, like, it's, and then your friends love it, you can still in the back of your mind be like, is this too far? Because you're not going to make everybody happy. But I think the most important thing at the end of the day is remember why you do it, and then just do it. Write something you want to see. Like, I always just try and remember the stuff I watched on VHS, like, and what I want to see. Like, when I write my stories, it's like, all right, pop a VHS in my brain, and like, here's these movies I'm watching in my head, and writing them on paper for everybody to read. And that's just kind of my approach to it.
They do say, don't they, write what you want to read. Yeah.
Because there's other weird people out there just like you. It's good to be weird. It's good to be, test the boundaries and stuff. I think one thing that's important, though, is we all support each other. For sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's a lot of support.
There's a lot of support in the horror community. I know there's quite a few arguments going on at the minute, but generally there is a lot of support.
Yeah, the dog piles and, the pitchforks come out. I try and just avoid those things. I don't like to kick people when they're down, especially when you got a lot of people on you.
So have you collaborated with any authors?
Well, I am talking to some people. I just went blank for a minute. I've been talking to Chuck Nasty a lot, and we've talked about collaborating on some stuff. And then, you and I, we talk a lot. There's all kinds of projects I have going on with you. But other than that, I haven't really planned on making any, writing other books with anybody or anything. I still have 10 stories, short novella style, that I'm getting polished up, that I've had, in the storage, because I focused so much on all these 3 projects that are coming out last year. So now I feel like I can move. They're going to be published. So now I'm like, all right, well, here, let's move on to the next batch.
Yeah. So what exciting projects have you got coming out?
All right. So February 7th, I have Those Who Live in Darkness, Volume 1. Amazing cover done by Matt Wildison, edited, formatted by Candice Nola. I had that planned before I met a bunch of you wonderful people. That was right last year. I was like, I'm just going to self-publish and I'm going to keep it that way. And then I signed with Unveiling Nightmares. And you and I have my novel coming out February 29th, Soulless Lonesome. It's very fun, and it's horror, and it's crime noir, cult awesomeness. You think that sums it up? Yeah, there's a lot of there is a character in it that is the Master Warlock that so many people have read and not figured out until the end. I mean, I'm sure some people will figure it out, but I just look forward to that one a lot coming out. I mean, all my stuff's my baby, but like Soulless Lonesome is just, that's where Towers Valley first started the mention of it. And then there's characters in it that are in short stories that are in the my collection. And then May 1st, I signed with Psychotoxin Press, and I have The Devil's Right that is coming out on May 1st. And that has a lot to do with kind of backstory of like mental health and stuff, like horror. Young boys, parents are murdered, and he can't really remember what happened, but he told the police a tree man did it. Someone came out of a tree and went in the house and killed his parents and left him behind. And then he spends until he's about 22 in a psychiatric unit. And then we start off right when he's getting out into the world the first time, and he just reunited with his sister. So now he wants to dig in and find out what really happened. And in that story, there's a tie-in to Soulless Lonesome and a couple of others. So all of my stuff that's coming out, Towers Valley, there are connections to whether big or small, in or around it. The Robin Hood Hills. So I'm excited to see, like, if people get interested and like find connections, and you know, it kind of becomes a thing. I mean, if not, I'm happy either way to be published and have some books, and it's more about, you know, the passion. I'm going to do it either way.
You've got some postcards coming out, haven't you, as well?
Oh, yeah. What would I do without you? Yes, we have postcards. Psychotoxin made some really cool postcards, like Welcome to Towers Valley. And has, I'm not going to give it away, like a kind of a piece of Towers Valley, a reoccurring place, like a landmark, if you will, yeah. And on the back is all 3 dates of all 3 of these things coming out, all 3 of these projects coming out. So I think we've sent, what, we had 100 people?
Yeah, something like that, wasn't it? The list.
Yeah. So it's like one of those limited time things, and then probably do another one later in the year, because I'll probably have Those Who Live in Darkness Volume 2, and I got some other novellas that I'm, you know, working on and polishing up that I'd like to see come out later this year. Kind of shooting for like 10 releases this year of my own stuff. Yeah.
You've got 2 stories coming out into your anthologies that I'm releasing as well, Splatology and...
Yes. I'm excited about these. Splatology and Body Horror by Unveiling Nightmares, and they're going to be awesome. There's so many good people that are involved.
Yeah, I don't think one of them's going to be able to go on Amazon, but we'll try.
Oh, yeah. Well, especially with the 2 that the one I'm writing for, I'm writing one for each, but I know the Splatology one is going to be pretty grimy and extreme.
Very sick.
Yeah, because I kind of flirt around. I go extreme, especially, you know, at times, but. And then I feel like I don't go near as I'm just like real timid with my personal work. Whenever it comes to giving you stuff, I'm just like, all right, how crazy can I put? Let's just go.
Yeah, Splatology was the rule for Splatology, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No, just write what you want to write.
Yeah, you're gonna regret that. There's gonna be isn't Chuck Nasty part of that? Justo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
I've already had Keystones in. So, yeah, it's going to be a good one.
Sweet.
So, What advice would you give to somebody who wanted to start writing horror?
I don't. Well, I guess kind of what stuff we talked about. I mean, if they wanted to start and don't know where to start, kind of like I did. I mean, just it never hurts to ask. Like, cast that net out. I wouldn't be in the position I'm in right now if I hadn't have done it. Kind of put your self-doubt and all that away, like, aside, and just actually, like, if this is what you want to do, money doesn't matter, because if you're in it for the money, you got the passion has to be there, and if it's what you love, like, every day you have to write, or you feel like you're missing out on something. Cast that net, not everybody will give you a time of day, but somebody will take a chance on you.
Yeah.
And just always remember why you're doing it. Big or small, just never forget where you came from. Never, like simple things in life.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, it's been lovely having you on the show, Dan. So thank you very much for accepting the invite to come on Unveiling Nightmares. And I wish you all the best with your releases that are coming out this year.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me. I didn't think I was going to be this nervous, and I just went blank a lot. So hopefully it doesn't sound too bad.
That's fine. Don't worry.